Right, so I am in Quentin the Convertible, filling with petrol, just filled with petrol for probably the last time. Well, I say probably because my local petrol station was shut and the next one was shut as well for some reason. Power out, I think. So I'd stopped for fuel on the motorway and it was £1.65.9 a litre of E5. So, well, I've put most of a tank in, but I hope the next person to drive this car really appreciates what I've just done. Oh, ouch. So yes, I am in Quentin, as I say, for the last road trip. In fact, the only road trip I've done in Quentin. So it shows the level of faith I've got in this good old Rover R8 convertible. Because, and a lot of people have been saying for the last year or so, I've got to keep this car, I've got to spend the summer driving this car and enjoy it and all the rest of it. And I keep saying, yeah, I know, but the whole point of buying Quentin was to flip him. It was a fix and repair and move on, a catch and release, if you like. Because I prefer, you know, the coupes and the sports cars rather than the convertibles. It's more my thing. And for the last, well, a few months since before Christmas, I have been trying to sell this car. But the thing about selling convertibles, as I have mentioned previously in previous videos, is that you need to be selling them at the right time of year. Convertibles only really sell when the sun shines. If you look in the classified sections at the moment, you won't see many with dealers, and that's for a good reason. They don't get good money this time of year. So I've been storing, as you've seen in previous videos, I've been storing this in a friend's parents' barn, if that makes sense, and having to pay to do that. So it's an ongoing cost of keeping this car on the fleet, not even on the road, just on the fleet. I spent all last year making this car as good as it possibly can be. Unfortunately, the painter who was going to be doing the painting in the booth, he caught COVID, and so the car sat until autumn. And finally come autumn, it came back to me but the wrong time of year, so it was just sitting around. And it hasn't seen the road since it went into storage way before Christmas. But before I got the chance to do all of my getting Quentin ready to sell series of videos, as it probably would have been, giving it a fresh service, fresh MOT in February, going through and fault finding all the little niggles that I'm sure are here. I know are here because I'm discovering them now, because I haven't really driven the car and there are niggles emerging as I do so. I had a message from someone who I know on Facebook and through car circles, and it was actually kind of a relief to get that message, because when you've done a car like this, and in particular Rover R8, you always worry how they're going to get treated after you've done it. Is it going to be an advert in 6 months' time saying the power steering pump's gone, I'm now breaking it because I can't be bothered to fix it? And you go, oh, I've spent a year and thousands of pounds fixing that car, and now you're scrapping it because of something really inconsequential. And you dread that kind of thing happening. So anyway, when this particular person messaged me, said he was interested in the car and what was I asking for it, I was really relieved, because I know he is a serial collector of good 1990s cars, and he garages them, and he's careful about who he sells the cars to. And I know he's been burnt by that in the past, and he's bought the cars back rather than seeing them broken. So I know Quentin will be safe. So it's like finding a foster home for a child almost when you do this kind of thing. So what are your intentions for my daughter? And all of that. So I told him what I was after for the car, and he was, well, that's quite a lot. I am interested, but it will have to be a while before I can do that. And we both went away and thought about it. And I thought to myself, well, if he'll take the car as it is, I don't need to spend the money on the service and the MOT and yada yada yada. If I just knock off all of those costs and offer it to him as is, maybe he'll accept that. And so I did, and he was quite interested. So I thought, great, we've got a sale. But he said he had to get rid of a car. Like so many of us in the weird world of owning too many cars, his situation was he needed to get rid of something before he could take this car on. So he said, as soon as I've sold my car, which I'll reveal shortly, I'll be up for that. So in a spark of inspiration and foolishness, and missing the point of getting rid of a car to make a space on the drive and get some money back, I said, well, why don't we do a part exchange deal? And he thought that was a good idea. I thought that was a good idea. So now I'm driving to Grantham in Lincolnshire to swap cars. And Grantham in Lincolnshire is about 150 miles north from me. It's about 2.5 hours drive on a good day. Luckily, it is a good day at the moment, so we should be there on time, fingers crossed. and he's actually coming from about the same distance north of that, so it's worked out quite well. He's getting a final road trip in his car, and I'm getting my final and first and only road trip in Quentin. So it's worked out quite well that I've finally got to take this car on a bit of a drive somewhere. So fortunately, I remembered last night to put this car onto my Dart Charge account so we can just sail through the Dartford Tunnel and not have to worry about paying it. I even remembered to add the new vehicle on there as well, which I must though remember to take this car off my Dart card account tonight, because I've done that before. I've given back rental cars, press vehicles with the Dart Charge number plate still valid, and then they've driven back to the Press Fleet garage and I've paid, and then they've paid as well, and Dartford have had 2 lots of payment from me. Now into the second county of our journey. We started in Kent, we're now in Essex, and I'm pleased to report that the car is really nice and easy and stable on the motorway. There's a little bit of wind noise, well, quite a lot of wind noise, but then it is a convertible, so that's to be expected. But the engine is nice and smooth and quiet. The ride's surprisingly firm. It feels quite soft on a country lane, but here on the motorway it feels quite firm and composed. Just a little gentle waft over the wibbly bits in the motorway every now and then. And we've got the sun on our rear quarter, and the silver paint looks so nice in the mirror. But as I say, this is the first time I've driven this car any real distance, so I'm noticing a few things that are wrong with it that some I knew about and I just completely forgotten. Other ones haven't really occurred to me to notice because I haven't driven anywhere. The clock, I think it may be the back light has gone in that, because I can't see the clock working. I think that's a fairly common fail on these cars. And also in the dial situation, this I did know about and I planned to fix when I got the car back out of storage and ready for summertime. The blower heater resistor has gone, which is a really common thing on Rover R8s and also the Hondas, which they share pretty much everything with. So it only works on level 3 and 4, so I can turn the fan on and be warm and everything, but then you can't hear what I'm saying. Heater though is very good. I can happily report the heater is excellent. Other things that are not quite right with this car, this little bit of trim on the door isn't quite as snug as I would like it to be. That's again a fairly common Rover R8 problem. I've seen a lot of these things. There's not really much else to complain about with this car. It seems really good. But I've got to say, so far this car is proving extremely good, and making me wish I wasn't determined to sell it, because it's just driving really nicely. And now I won't have a convertible on the fleet. And I will have something I wasn't really sure I wanted on the fleet. 6.5 miles from the M11 and we're coming to a complete halt. That's not a good thing.
At the roundabout, take the 4th exit to merge onto the A1M towards the north.
So we're now on stop number, well, first stop, 3rd county, Hertfordshire, I think, at South Mim Services, bottom of the A1. Car is performing incredibly well. It's been absolutely faultless so far. Loving Quentin, loving that Porsche over there even more. But yeah, I've topped up my coffee. It's in the sports cup holder. So let's get back on the road again. We're running late as it is now because the traffic has been so bad. I've waffled enough considering nothing is going on. I'm going past Welland Green, the A1001 at the moment. Yeah, there's nothing really to report. Everything's working fine. The car is holding perfect temperature around the middle, just slightly low, as it should be. Fuel usage has been pretty much as I expected it to be. It was virtually full when I left. It's used less than 1/8 of a tank, really, doing the last 50 odd miles, so it's all as as predicted. Nothing's juddering, nothing's wobbling. I shouldn't say this, and touch the wooden dashboard, touch wood. Nothing's dropped off. The car is proving excellent. I know Ian had a pretty terrifying run up, dropping his multiple off the other day with the car with no clutch. That's yeah, that was fun. That was an adventure. This isn't an adventure. This is a nice drive with coffee and Audible. I'm listening to Christian O'Connell's story or autobiography. No One Listens to Your Dad's Show, I think it's called. Well, now according to the sat-nav, I'm 5 minutes and 4.2 miles from parking this car, turning the engine off for the last time. I'm actually quite sad now. It's been quite a journey with this thing. Arrived on the back of a truck, turned up as a non-runner with no alternator, no roof, flat tyres or wheels that didn't fit properly, a cracked interior. It was a mess, a rotten wing. And I spent that whole months and months making everything right, changing the cam belt, the alternator, all new brakes, putting the bodywork right, getting it painted, doing the interior. So many jobs on this car. It really has become a big part of the channel, and now we're going to say goodbye. But I know it's going to a good home. I know the person who's going to have it is going to look after it, and if he does sell this car, it's going to be selling on to someone else who will continue the journey. And I know there are a few faults with the car which I need to talk him through in a minute, but I know that he will sort them out as well, because a lot of you will know who he is from Facebook and know his collection of cars from Facebook, and then you'll see this in the next few days turning up in his collection. So we know Quentin is going to be safe, and we'll definitely be seeing Quentin at various car shows in the coming months and years, hopefully. It's a bit of a shame the weather today is so cold. I've not put the roof down for one final journey with the top down because it is really quite chilly. It was the first time this car has seen frost in a long time. Certainly the first time it's seen frost with this roof on it. And yeah, you don't put these kind of roofs down when it's that cold. It's just really bad for them. Now where is he? Where is he? I don't see him. Are there two on different sides of the road? Oh, I see him. Now I see him. Can you guess what it is? It's a Freelander. I've got myself a Freelander. So here we have Quentin and Quentin's replacement. So we've stayed within the Rover stable, but we've gone from one end of the market to the other. We've gone from the luxury convertible to the off-road beast. Now I know this is exactly everything I don't want to be buying. Right now I need to be buying some kind of hybrid electric kind of thing that can get me into London and back, but no, what I've gone for is a diesel SUV, which I know I don't like SUVs, but I've always had a soft spot for Freelanders. I used to own one of these back when they were relatively new. And not only is it a diesel SUV, it's an automatic diesel SUV. So I've just bought my absolute nemesis vehicle, the car I'm least likely to go and choose to buy, I have chosen. However, this car, I'll give you a full walk around in a minute, it's actually pretty well sorted. This has been on another YouTube channel where they spent an absolute fortune going through pretty much everything there is to go through on it. It passed an MOT yesterday. It's got brand new, or relatively new, a couple months old, off-road noggly winter tyres. So if we get a bit of snow, we can have a bit of fun with it. You didn't see that coming, did you? Bye, Quentin. I'm actually going to miss this car. I really am going to miss him. And away he goes into the darkness of the mist. My lovely old Rover 200. So let's take a look around this thing I have just bought. It is a 2002 Freelander, but not just any Freelander, it's a Kalahari, which means it's one of the posh ones. And it's not got the K-series of doom, which I'm so used to dealing with now. It's got a TD4, so BMW diesel, so that's not going to explode expensively. Actually, they're pretty decent in this. But quite significantly, it's still a four-wheel drive. Most of the time when you see one of these things, it's front drive only because the centre viscous coupling has exploded or the rear diff has gone kaput, and it's just too expensive to fix. This one though, not only is it four-wheel drive, someone's put some decent all-terrain tyres on it, so we can maybe do a little bit of mud plugging on it. And yeah, it's in pretty decent condition. Passed its MOT yesterday, as I said, and overall, it's in very nice condition. Certainly on the outside it is. It's been wax oiled underneath, it's been wax oiled in the doors. Inside, a few little issues to deal with. It's been used as a dog car, so it's got a bit of grub in it. This has gone a bit down there, so either a used seat or get a friendly trimmer to repair that. But this is a Kalahari, so it's got the half Alcantara. Alcantara is the worst wearing substance on the planet. It's a terrible thing to put into a car. We have got the leather steering wheel. We've got the double glove boxes with extra tea shelf. How's that for luxury? Because if you're going someplace in a Land Rover, you're going to go and have a cup of tea when you get there. At the top of a mountain, probably. We've got lots of little cubby holes. I'll do a full review of this thing later on. Another dashboard over here. Oh, locking wheel nut, that's handy. More tea shelfery. Cup holders actually in the doors. Don't know, I'm not using that. I'm using my sports cup holder still. Issues we do need to know about are that the rear doors, central locking apparently doesn't work, and I think that rear window doesn't stay up on its own volition, so we do need to do something about that before too long. So this is unusual, being back in a Freelander again. I haven't driven a Mark 1 Freelander in a very long time. I owned one, a 52 plate one, which I bought as a dealer pre-registered special many years ago, like 2002. 20 years ago now, 19 and a half. But that was a 3-door manual, 1.8 petrol, so all the different options. And I've been half thinking about getting another one because I thought that was kind of a coolish car in a way. But I was planning on getting a 3-door again because I do like the look of the 3 doors. There's 2 less doors to break, for one thing. And these are becoming slightly rare and interesting. Now, I'm on record as not really liking SUVs very much. I do think that generally they're a bit pointless. They've not got all the off-road ability that their looks suggest they ought to have. They're generally too big for the purpose they're being used for. They're generally just an annoyance in the way, and I don't like them. But the Freelander, like the original RAV4, they were the trailblazers. They were the path beaters of the SUV phenomena. And at that time, the makers were still doing it properly. They were taking a 4x4 and putting it into a smaller, more compact, more usable everyday car vehicle shaped thing. And so from that point of view, I do have a certain grudging respect for the Mark 1 Freelander. And I think it's quite an interesting design. The hippo thing, people nickname them at the time, and those adverts with them in the water, they were just kind of fun and cool, and they can actually do off-roady stuff. I think part of the reason BMW bought the whole Rover group was for that little yellow button down by the gear stick, because that's hill descent control, and that was very useful, valuable technology. So I've taken this car and some cold, hard cash in return for Quentin. So obviously this is going to be not necessarily the less good car, but it is, in certain respects, got a few more faults than Quentin has. But it's a newer car, so in a way it's going to be the better car because it's a newer car. Quentin is more niche, more desirable, ultimately. Watching that car drive away, I was seriously thinking what a good looking thing it was and what a mistake I'd made letting it go. But I was constantly worried about things spoiling it. I got it really nice and I didn't want it to be spoiled, because that first scratch is going to be a killer. But I know where it's gone, its new home, it's going to get really enjoyed, and I know that it's going to be turning up at Motorist in May on the 28th, not on the 20th, like I said on the previous video. The 28th, he's going to bring it along, so you can have a look at Quentin then. So it's still within the Furious family. So I'm glad that Quentin is safe. But this is an interesting new chapter for the channel. Having a Freelander SUV, an automatic SUV, that's very, very not me at all. So we'll see how we go with that. Right, so done about 50-ish miles down from Grantham to just outside Peterborough now for our first fuel stop. The most expensive diesel I think I've ever bought. I was going to treat this to a few gallons of V-Power, or super diesel, not super unleaded obviously. £1.59.9 a litre of diesel. I really thought I would be able to find a petrol station that wasn't on the motorway between here and, well, where I started from. Sorry, that's me moaning about the cost of fuel. It's ridiculous. Right, well, 50 miles in. Are me and this car going to be friends? Do you know what? I think we probably are. I'd forgotten how much I actually quite enjoyed the Freelander when I had one before. Because unlike the newer generation of SUVs and things, where they're basically a very tall car, but a wobbly tall car, this does have a very much off-roadery feel about it. It's got a chunky, solid grrriness about it, which I really quite enjoy. And the new ones, they're just tall cars with rubbish boots. This is, yeah, it's a bit of a fun thing. I like the chunky looks. I just walked away from it and looked back at the petrol station forecourt after I filled up. And I sort of looked at this, I looked at my coat and my hat and my boots, and I thought, do you know what, this car actually quite suits me. I shouldn't be saying that as of a SUV, but this is, I'm going to go on a limb and say this is less of an SUV and more of a 4x4, because, it is. This car has had loads of work done. It's got to be running into the low thousands, the amount of things that have been done to it. I won't go into that right now. I'll do another video in a day or two's time showing all around this car in proper detail. For now, we're just going to drive it home and see how good of a car it actually is that I've traded half of Quentin for. The off-road chunky tyres are a little bit wearing on terms of volume on the motorway for a long drive, but I do like the look of them. And when we get over to maybe do a bit of off-roading in this thing, then they'll be definitely coming into their own. I think it's this one. I think it's Huntingdon and St Ives, the A1307 they've renumbered. There's a whole new, really confusing bit of fast dual carriageway with lots of speed cameras, typical, which takes you down onto the A1. But you can join the M11 that way as well. But this is the old way that goes past the old flying saucer McDonald's. And I've not been down this way since they redid all the roads. I'm just curious what happens if you take this route instead. It is rather nice driving this car. It's got a good driving position. The seats are very comfortable. The squab's a little bit short, if I'm honest. Very upright, good posture seating position, which is very nice. Up there, that's where the old McDonald's used to be, that was shaped like a flying saucer. Well, much like Quentin, well, much like Quentin, this is proving to be a very easy and relaxing drive. No problem at all. The temperature gauge is sat in the middle, not moving. The car's performing exactly as it was intended, and actually the fuel sippage on this car seems to be pretty decent as well, being a 2-litre diesel. It's really rather good. There is a gritter up ahead. Stop blowing holes in my ship and all that. I might just have to nip past that, so I'm not driving in a sea of rock salt. Oh, I'm going to hate this. Take the smackings as you drive past, or just drive in powdered salt for 50 miles. Neither one is good. So what do you think of this car? Is it an admirable replacement for Quentin? In terms of stuff to do, there's a few little odd jobs. It's not the same level of restoration and recovery and salvation that Quentin was. This is very much more of a just fix a few jobs to make it a little bit nicer kind of a deal. Is it an admirable replacement, or have I completely lost my mind? I do think these early Freelanders, so weirdly a 40-mile-an-hour limit for absolutely no reason along here. The Freelander, original Freelander, is now, well, this one's 20 years old, being a 2002, which incidentally is the same year as the one I had a 52 plate. This is an 02 plate. having come out a little bit before that, it's basically a quarter of a century old, pretty much. So that's a surprisingly long time ago. So it's definitely edging its way into the modern classic territory. Do you like it? Do you think I've made a crazy stupid thing? Is this so out of my ballpark of cars I should like that I'm going to hate it and flip it? Or is it a good thing? I've opened my mind to owning an automatic, which so far is proving to be very dull and not very exciting or interesting at all, and I'm not really enjoying one little bit. I don't see the appeal, it's just lazy. Let me know in the comments, and I'm going to carry on driving. I've got another 1 hour, 50 minutes and 105 miles to go. In the expectation that nothing exciting is going to happen, I'm going to sign off right now. So I'll see you all back in Kent, a mere 3 counties away. Oh, by the way, this thing does cost £29 a month to tax because it's a dirty diesel, so it's now my most expensive car to keep on the road in terms of tax by quite a long way. So that alone might mean it's not on the fleet for too long. I was signing off, wasn't I? I was saying, yes, if you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do. And also head over, if you would be so kind, over to Furious Tea Break, where side stuff, chats and things will be going on, and various announcements and things will be made. I'm going to choose the M11 because that'll put me on the M25 a bit nearer to home. Right, see you in a bit.